On to target 8.3. Promote development-oriented policies that support productive activities, decent job creation, entrepreneurship, creativity and innovation, and encourage the formalization and growth of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, including through access to finance services. The indicator for this, 8.3.1, is the proportion of informal employment in total employment by sector and sex. Challenging economic conditions pushing more workers into informal employment is the headline they start this section with. Globally, 58% of those employed were in informal employment in 2022, amounting to around 2 billion workers in precarious jobs, most lacking any form of social protection. Prior to the onset of the pandemic, the incidence of informal employment had been slowly declining and stood at 57.8% in 2019. The COVID-19 crisis resulted in a disproportionate job loss for informal workers, particularly for women informally employed during 2020. This is mainly because informal workers were overrepresented in hard-hit sectors where lockdown and containment measures prevented them from engaging in their activities. They also had more limited access to support measures such as job retention programs and flexible working arrangements. Nonetheless, the aftermath of the COVID-19 crisis, coupled with the global cost of living increases, has resulted in a recovery process led by informal employment. Consequently, the incidence of informal employment in 2022 is estimated to be 0.2 percentage points above that of 2019. The situation remains most alarming in the least developed countries, where informal employment stood at 89.7% in 2022. This reflects no change since 2015 and a meagre 2.7 percentage points decline on the 2004 figure. Informality in sub-Saharan Africa and Central and Southern Asia was nearly as prevalent, with rates of 87 and nearly 85% respectively in 2022. Women have been worse off during the employment recovery following the pandemic. 4 out of 5 jobs created in 2022 for women were informal, compared to only 2 out of 3 jobs for men. This is particularly worrying for women in LDCs, where informality rates have been over 90% since estimates for the regions have been available. There are sharp regional disparities in the share of female workers in informal employment. Less than 1 out of 5 employed women in Northern America and Europe were working informally in 2022, compared with more than 9 out of 10 women in sub-Saharan Africa. While informality rates for women have been stagnant in most regions since 2004, the first year in which global and regional estimates are available, the share of female workers in informal employment decreased in Eastern and Southern Asia and Western Asia and Northern Africa by over 10 percentage points since 2004. Employment started to recover in 2021 after the unprecedented labour market disruption caused by the pandemic. However, challenging economic conditions are pushing workers to take up informal jobs. These jobs may lack characteristics of the formal employment relationship that are critical to advancing social justice. For example, informal jobs are much less likely to provide access to social protection systems than formal jobs.